Anyway, so I'm hearing that there's this media literacy curriculum being taught in America's schools, and it's not about teaching students how to think, but instead, which part of it there? Is it how to think, what to think? Can you elaborate on all of that?
It's actually neither. Media literacy in government K through 12 and colleges, it's about where to go to get your propaganda. It's not about even how to think or what to think. So media literacy, just like social emotional learning, just like Be Kind, sounds great. And that's why they're really good at picking these terms that in itself doesn't enrage anybody. It doesn't create any red flags. And so, because who doesn't want media literacy? Media literacy, if you say it to a normal person and they define it, they're like, well, media literacy probably means if you read something, don't just take it for don't just take the headline, read the article, really dive down, see where they're getting their source, that kind of stuff. But media literacy in government K through 12, and by the way, for all your wonderful listeners to your amazing show, I asked you to go to your state Department of Education or your district website and type in media or digital literacy, and you will see it. It is already very, very much saturated into your schools. In some states, it's even a graduation requirement. But they all get their media literacy from the same source. We are on Courage is a Habit. If you go to courageisahabit.org and go to search and type in media literacy, you will find a tool where we expose an organization that teaches teachers on how to teach this. And at the most basic level, media literacy means teaching your kids to only go to the legacy media for their information.
Another form of brainwashing then.
It's just another form of brainwashing, but they're telling your children, hey, if you hear something on Matthew Alvarez's show, it's dangerous misinformation. Don't even look into it.
Right.
What we should be telling kids is don't believe NBC, don't believe Matthew, just go look it up and really dive into it yourself. That's the true nature of critical thinking.
Right.
But so our latest one is on a general, we expose media and digital literacy, and more importantly, we expose a woman named Renee Hobbs. Now, people like her are, in our opinion, one of the most dangerous people in the country simply because no one knows her name. Nobody's heard of her organization. They see the jumping lunatics like Randy Weingarten, the teachers' unions, and Becky Pringle, and there's these jumping lunatics, and they suck the attention from most people. Whereas people like Renee Hobbs, she's in government. She's training government officials, professors, teachers. So let me put it this way. Renee Hobbs is not going to run in front of ICE and get herself killed. She's not that kind of useful idiot. She's not Renee Good. Renee Good's a useful idiot. They'll sacrifice her life so that they can create a narrative. Renee Hobbs is a lot more dangerous because she's teaching teachers to teach your kids to be Renee Good. Wow. She's teaching teachers to teach your kids to be the useful idiot. Wow. And she can sit quietly 3 layers under. So we brought her up. We've used her own words to show you how radical she is. And she is a huge, huge player in driving media literacy curriculum for your K through 12. Okay. This is why we hit people like Renee Hobbs, because Fauci would not be nearly as effective at all, actually, if it wasn't for people like Renee Hobbs, which nobody hears about because she's the one who, her organization and people like her are the ones who craft the media narrative. So we can blame NBC and CBS and CNN, but those anchors are only reading from a teleprompter. Who's writing the teleprompter? And who's teaching your kids that? That's happening right now. That's what they're doing to your kids right now in school, K through 12. And in college, of course, so don't send your kids to college unless you have a very specific reason why. This is why when we expose things like Renee Hobbs, it's not sexy. She looks like your chubby aunt that gives you candy from your purse. Not exciting. But these are the people that drive the narrative. They're the ones who drive the media and political messaging that allowed Fauci and all your woke white community women and men to drive that narrative in COVID back then, and she's still doing that now. Now, what we discovered is that she doesn't want to be handcuffed to Fauci at all. She's definitely afraid of that. She wants to be as far away. She wants to just pretend that, that was just, it's just a right-wing conspiracy. He did a good job. But we had exposed how much she worshiped him in her own words, calling him an American patriot, a hero. She was the one who taught everybody to counter any anybody who didn't like Fauci or saw that he was lying back then in 2020, 2022. And so she wants to completely distance herself from him, and we're not going to let her do that.